the quality of the work that we can do, whether that's teaching, whether that's research, whether that's providing professional services, whether that's being an archivist, whether it's being a librarian, all of those things are affected by the fact that we are under enormous and intense pressure. And that is increasing. I'd like to draw people's attention to the fact that our Vice-Chancellor seems to think that we work a 7-day week. In his message that he sent to staff yesterday, he talked about 10 days of strike action. I've got a message for Stephen Toop. Actually, the weekend is something that was brought to this country by the trade union movement quite a long time ago. It would be quite good if you recognise that. Now, we know that many of our colleagues do work unpaid hours at weekends. They do work unpaid hours into the evenings or the early mornings. But that is not a normal state of affairs. That is something that we are on strike to stop. And that is why we are standing outside here on the picket lines, because people are under intolerable pressure. So we do not work at the weekends out of choice. We will not be working extra hours even when we're not on strike, because our action short of a strike means that we will work the hours we are contracted to do. We do not buy into the idea that we should subsidise what our management are doing by exploiting ourselves to fill in the gaps that have been left because other staff have not had their jobs renewed, because people are trying to stitch things together, because management is prioritising investment in buildings, investment in speculative schemes to build new campuses or to build new housing complexes, as here in Cambridge, and puts the infrastructure of the university above the people who are the university. Whose university?
Our university!
Who is the university? We're the university!
I work in IT and engineering, and over the last 10 years there have been 3 separate IT reviews, each of which has resulted in IT staff being expected to do more work because there are few people doing the work. It's a sign that our work is not valued by the university or by the department, and it leaves us feeling demoralised, and it makes it much harder for us to do our jobs. It's something which I know affects everybody across the university, but certainly in engineering, the IT staff have been feeling it, and it can't really go on. We ask the university to make sure that people are sufficiently paid for the work that they do, that they get a decent pension for the work that they do, and that there are enough of us to do our jobs, that people are well paid, and that we aren't being asked to do too much work. Thank you.
I'm a lecturer in education, more to do with mathematics education down at the faculty. I'm involved with schools. I'm involved as a fellow of Wolston College. So I like to think quite a lot about the effects of workload across the whole sector. That's not just staff, that's students as well. And what I just want to try and do is relate that to the kind of economic and education policy that exists at the moment. So increasingly we've seen this shift away from the state supporting and funding education, and institutions like this move more towards using financialisation and marketisation as an approach to dealing with that. And universities like this is very well placed to do that with an international reputation. But what we see then is a really serious inequality. And I think it puts it more plain of the level of the problem here. That, I mean, I kind of value the tone of the Vice-Chancellor, but actually what we need him to do is something now, to act, to say something. Not just to try and say that one of the positions he often takes, I have sympathy with this, is that I have no power in this university. I'm not sure that if on £430,000 a year, if you can claim you have no influence or power. There was certainly an issue in terms of in his annual review that might be brought up then if he can't actually do anything of that amount of money. But this is the problem. We have a different set, an emerging set of rules for the elite members of an academic institution like this, and a very different experience and set of rules for those postgraduates, undergraduates, postdocs, precarious workers who are just working all hours just to try and get a career going. And I think we have to think about the experience people have. I mean, so, you know, as a permanent member of staff, and having been through the awful probation system process here, the moment you feel that level of security as a permanent member of staff, life changes completely. But we're seeing that taken away from really many talented people at the moment. So this is really, for me, is a line in the sand. We have to draw a line in the sand. It's not just about protection of our pay and pensions. It really is about protection of the principles of public education.
Well done, comrades. Congratulations on your action. I stood here, I think it was last year, and spoke to the striking UCU then, and I said how sad it was that such a famous institution has to take action to protect the rights of its workers. Universities are supposed to be leading sources of knowledge, and yet your Vice-Chancellor and your university and universities up and down the country are ignoring their staff. And they do that at the country's peril, because the universities are the cutting edge alongside the labour force of how this country progresses and how our welfare state operates. So I bring you fraternal greetings, I bring you comradely greetings, and remind me, whose university?
Our university!
Whose university?
Our university!
Oh, and don't forget, on the 12th,
Hey, thank you very much, everyone, for coming today. We're going to have a bit of a march and have a bit of a march round now. So if everyone could follow the banners that way, and we'll see you at Old Schools for some music, some registering and some raving. We've got 2 live DJs, and we're going to make sure Toop can hear us. Toop, can you fucking hear us? Can you fucking hear us?
I believe that we will